Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, to be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, and to the Aquath that are listening and learning. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. And this is Isaiah 29:15, and it reads, Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark. And they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Well, the truth has been made manifest. And we live in the information age. So trying to get around the fact that the tribe of Judah, known as the Jews, was a dark race of people, of so-called the black race of people, so-called. To deny that is to deny the own nose on your face. Israelis are indeed Jewish, but they are not of Judah for the most part. Now, we are scattered among all heathens, so there will be some real Israelites among them, but for the most part, they are just Edomites claiming the heritage of the Israelites. And the Jews and the Moors are the same people. For all you Moor science people out there, Jews and the Moors are both Israelites, and your heritage is through your father, not your mother. You can't jump over the lineage of Judah and run with King David's grandmother, a Moabite woman, and try to make Mo, the English word Mo, correlate to the word Moor. All right, which were two different languages and didn't mean the same thing. And Moabite spoken in Hebrew isn't spelled with the M-O at all in the way it would be in English. There's a completely different sound and a completely different spelling. All right? And the Moabites today are the so-called Chinese and the Koreans. Those are your Moabites. All right? Just look up Moabite gods and you can see their facial features, the samurai swords and all the different instruments that was used by Ammon and Moab, because Ammon and Moab were brothers. All right, the sons of Lot. Okay, you look up the Ammonite gods, and you're gonna see guys in samurai type dress. So there it is, man. But nevertheless, to stay on point, this is out of the book Christopher Columbus and the Participation of the Jews in the Spanish-Portuguese Discovery. So when you read that, you're thinking his face. But no, Christopher Columbus had a lot of dark friends who helped him. So the Moors and the Sephardic Jews of Spain and Portugal were the most malicious race traders the world has ever seen. Yes, they enslaved a lot of their own people. They helped set up the 13 colonies and most slave colonies around the world, also introducing the sugar trade. And I'm going to read some evidence, and then I'm going to let my man Cootie Merrill, some of his video play, where he's going to present even more evidence to prove this. This is the information age. All the lies that have been told before, and when were these Jews and these Moors, these so-called black people, controlling the trade all over Europe during the time of the Dark Ages, all the way up to medieval times? So all your period pieces and your movies, and like I always tell you, you were not the Spartans. You were not the Trojans. All right. You were not Uhtred. You were not the Vikings. Those were dark flesh people. All right. All this Edomite so-called white man iconoclasm, it's over. Those lies are over, man. Those were not so-called white people. And the few white people that were among them were serfs, slaves, and servants until the Edomites came back into power in the late 1300s. All right, they started coming back into power and came fully into power after the fall of Portugal and Spain, whether the inhabitants, these same Jews and Moors, these crypto Jews, Criscos and Moriscos and Marranos. All right, Hispanics still refer to a Moreno as a dark-skinned person or a Negro to this day. If you look up the word Moreno, which I'm about to read from this book, you look it up in the Etymology Online Dictionary, and it's going to tell you that a Marrano is a Jew or a Moor. Same race of people. Israelites, not Moabites, for you more science people. You Nation of Islam worshipers. Trying to connect yourself to Moab, whether the so-called Chinese. Tired of this ignorant blasphemy. Okay? And them same sellout, and it's the same spirits that gravitate to that were the same spirits that were doing it back then. Because the spirits like the one that I have and the men that do this work, we were the victims of our own brothers, man. We were the ones getting carted off into slavery and being sold here in the Americas. All right? These very Jews and Moors came to the Americas with Christopher Columbus, Cristobal Colon, a Jewish guy, all right, a Spanish Jewish guy, and helped enslave the Northern Kingdom. A copper-colored, brown, melanated people, and they're referred to today as Hispanic. All right? And they got lightened up, many of them, through forced slavery and the slave trade. But in this book, I'm going to probably read it right through the camera lens. All right? This is page 27, and it says status of the Jews and Marranos, all right? And it says the name Marrano was applied, Salakia, in Castile, as well as in Aragon. Certain Jews, and especially many Marranos, wielded considerable influence. The name Marrano was applied to persons of the Jewish stock whose parents or grandparents had been driven to despair and dire persecution to accept Christianity. So that's also part of the definition. They also threw pig in there too. All right. But so that was so those were so basically the ones that referred to as the Jews, they started calling them Christians or different types of Christians, which is why they went to mostly Protestant countries. Okay, and non-Catholic countries, all right, throughout Europe, and controlled and was running stuff in those places. The conversion was, however, only external and feigned at heart. They adhered loyally to their ancestral religion, the Bible, though outwardly Christians. They secretly observed the tenements of the Jewish, I would say the Israelite faith, all right. This was not infrequently true. In the case of those who had become dignitaries of the church, they celebrated the Sabbath and holy days, assembled in subterranean and other secret synagogues, and practiced Jewish rites in their homes. All right, and those people were eventually expelled from Spain and Portugal, and went all over Europe, mainly to the south of France, where they were referred to as the Huguenots. All right, because the brother in this Cootie Merrill says Huguenot, but it's actually Huguenot. It's a French word. And the Huguenots were they were slavers here in, a matter of fact, they made reference to them in the movie Django. When he said a black slaver is worse than he was talking about those Huguenots. Because what Django basically proves, that scene, that line in the movie, is that there were black slavers. They also showed you that in 12 Years a Slave. Not that she just married some Edomite, the nigger woman, but there were actually nigger women, planters. They referred to as planters, as Cootie Merrill was going to prove in his video. So without any further ado, I'm going to go about to the 12-minute part and let it play from there.
Of almost uninhabited islands in the Caribbean, from a state of nature to agricultural colonies producing sugar for a distant market, took place within the remarkably short span of 50 years in the 17th century. All right, so here what they're saying, they grabbed these islands who were very natural and beautiful, probably had a lot of indigenous vegetation, animals, and people, and they turned them into basically sugar producing markets for a distant market, for foreign people. What happened to all the local stuff? The accomplishment is even more surprising. All right, listen to this. When it is realized that neither the English planter nor the African slave had any significant previous experience with sugarcane agriculture and the system of sugar manufacture. Okay, there was no African slave brought over here to grow sugar. They didn't know anything about sugar growing. It wasn't them, and it wasn't no English white man planter. Letting you know straight up, this major drop right here.
That's
We
right.
should have already concluded that as we're learning, watching this video today, right? Where's the Africans in all of this?
Nowhere.
Get what I'm saying? They're telling you right here too the same thing. All right. However, Brazil was an important producer of sugar, but somebody was doing it because Brazil was an important producer of sugar during the early decades of the 17th century, and it is a logical to look for influences from that quarter. All right. So who was running things in that quarter? This is what he's letting you know. It is sometimes claimed that Portuguese Jews from Brazil were no innovators of change in these British colonies during the 17th century, bringing capital, trading skills, slaves, and much needed experience in sugarcane agriculture and sugar manufacture at a critical time in the development of the colonies. This article attempts to establish the facts in order to draw a recent conclusion on the role of the Sephardic Jews in this part of the world during the 17th century, who's running things, who's really setting up shop and helping all these empires grow. Sephardic Jews and their trade and merchandise skills and their growing agricultural skills too with the sugar, their knowledge with the sugar plantations. All right, Sephardic Jews. The curiosity of the writer concerning the Sephardic Jews was aroused in 1952 on first examining the dozen or so remaining tombstones in an unkept Jewish cemetery on Nevis. All right, Nevis, remember Alexander Hamilton? He was a Jewish. Again, he was a Sephardic Jew. That's what we already know. Alexander Hamilton, a person of color. Again, they were calling him a Negro, mulatto, Swarty. They would call him all these things. We got the video already. All right, he was Huguenot and Sephardic Jew. Huguenot and Sephardic Jew. It goes on to almost the same thing.
There you go.
The dates of burial were from 1660 to 1725. Richard Pates, in his authoritative book on Nevis, recorded the commercial activity of the Portuguese Jews on the island during that period. Long abandoned burial grounds for these folks exist on the other islands in the Lesser Antilles, and Jewish synagogues have survived into the 20th century of Barbados and Jamaica. All right, so this Jewish cemeteries, again, Alexander Hamilton's ancestors are buried in these Jewish cemeteries, and we got the video and explaining that and showing that. All right, so they're all over these places in Barbados as well, in Jamaica as well. The immediate place of origin of the Jews was Brazil. Most of them had to come out of Brazil, but out of Brazil they had to come originally from Amsterdam or directly from Spain or Portugal, being exiled, or from other countries they were exiled in. So a whole history here, right? So they was from Brazil, from which they fled in the middle of the 17th century in order to escape religious persecution. The ultimate origin of these folks lies in the Mediterranean world. Persecution and forced migration of the Sephardic Jews began in Spain in 1478 with the establishment of the Inquisition. A similar experience of forced migration awaited them in Brazil almost 200 years later. Although the major aim of this paper is to throw whatever light is possible on the role of the Sephardic Jews in the British colonies of the Caribbean, it is necessary to sketch in their background in Europe and in Brazil, and the organization of the paper is to that end. All right, so very scholarly to do that. He's basically saying he's going to do what I'm basically trying to do. I went back, when I did my Sephardi video, I'm still learning. I'm trying to figure out who these guys are. But even though we know they do have some kind of Hebrew, might have Israelite, Edomite, Moabite blood, Canaanite blood in them, Ishmaelite blood in
Now
them.
he goes off a little with that because all those nations had in a mix. But remember, your heritage is through your father. All right. So when you in the opening scene, you saw these Moors and these Moors with their harems, and their harems had all women in them. Moabite women, so-called white women, and all these different nations. And these men had multiple wives of all the different nations. And so, despite what their children look like, they're still Israelites if their fathers are. All right. So I don't know if he understands that or not, but he definitely didn't break it down.
Arabs, they had some kind of Jewish
And also, he's giving you the breakdown that these Sephardic Jews and Moors were heavily involved in the trade in the islands during the time of the enslavement of the Northern Kingdom. All right. in the islands and in South America when they landed. They were, and so when Cristobal Colon, also known as Christopher Columbus, came to the Americas, they enslaved the inhabitants of the islands and the Americas, which this book also starting at page 90, pretty much tells you that those people were the Israelites. And the Marranos that he brought over with them, some of them knew that or began to realize that. All right, the Torres, which is basically, it talks about the Torres right here, and six other, it says complete list lost. There were several men of Jewish stock. For example, Louis de Torres, a Jew, had occupied the position under the governor of Murcia and who was baptized shortly before Columbus sailed, as he understood Hebrew, Chaldean, Aramaic. Columbus employed him as an interpreter. All right. Alonso de la Calle was also a Jewish lineage. So it talks also all these Israelite Moors, these Spanish, these Moors and Moriscos and these crypto Jews, these Sephardic Jews, who came over to the Americas and helped enslave their own people. Hence the book, that $10,000 book behind me, Ronald Sanders, Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, and the story of Montesinos, and how Montesinos came to the understanding that the people in the islands were Israelites. Okay? The people in the islands and in the Americas, the copper-colored brown people in the islands and in the Americas are indeed Israelites.
You know, they are related to some people in Asia Minor, the Sephardi, original Sephardi area over there. And I think that's what he's about to get into. It says European background. It says Sephardic Jews have a long, at times illustrious history in Europe. Semitic traders from Sidon and Tyre traveled the length of the Mediterranean world in classical times and settled in the distant Iberian shores. The Jews were influential during the Roman period, but they enjoyed a truly golden age under the Moors. All right? What? We got this a lot in my past videos, Columbus and his Negro friends. We also got it.
Columbus and his Negro friends.
No more hijack, no more misunderstanding. The Sephardic Jews actually were very prosperous. That was their golden age time too, under the Moors.
Right, under the Moors, which were there. Why were they able to operate under the Moors? Think about it. And the Moors had conquered and ruled Portugal and Spain. They had it for 700 years, man. All right. Okay, and it proves that they spoke what you refer to as what they actually Shemitic, but they spoke Semitic languages. Why were the Sephardic Jews able to prosper under the blackamoors? All right, why under the blackamoors? Because they are the same lineage. They were all Israelites, and the Moors just had taken on the religion of Islam. The only difference, but they knew that the Sephardic Jews were their brothers. I imagine they had family members. All right, you probably have some guys, their family were Moors, and other parts of their family were still practicing the traditions of the Bible, their lineage. It's really simple. And Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he hid this. Quick scripture. Let me let Cootie Merrill continue. Love this scripture. 2nd Ezra 6:27 and 28 again. And it reads, "For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched." All right. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome. These corrupt lies about lineage and who's who. And the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. The truth is being declared, man. All right, from two different sources this day.
When they were free to move within Muslim world in search of economic and intellectual gains, they became rich, aristocratic, learned, haughty, and powerful. The Sephardic Jews and the Moors, they were together, is what I showed you. Eventually, the name Sepharad, the original was over there, came to be applied by the Hebrews to the kingdoms of Castilla, Navarra, Aragon, and Portugal. And Jews of Spain and Portuguese origin became known as Sephardic Jews.
There it is.
All right. Again, people of color living prosperous under the Moors, their brothers and cousins. In contrast to the Nazim. All right, it's different. I listen to this. Sephardic Jews, in contrast to the Ashkenazims or European Jews of Slavonic origin, they're different.
Because those were those conversos who converted to Judaism. That's what made them different. And those Slavic, Ashkenaz is a son of Japhet. Has nothing to do with Abraham. Right? There's no one in Abraham's lineage with the name Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz is of Japhet. All right, showing that they know that Japhet was ruling in Europe. He was the original people, but Japhet got pushed out. They're mainly in the islands now. All right, the people of Hawaii, Samoa, and those Australia and all those islands, Tasmania, those were your Japhetic people, the true Europeans.
All right, you were blaming these people this whole time. You were picturing these Ashkenazi European Jews of Slavonic origin. You know, that's what you were always picturing. And it was actually the Sephardic Jews living under the Moors, prosperous, their brothers, right? A lot of them related, you know. It was actually them setting up shop, colonizing over here first.
There you go. And then the Edomites took it completely over, and that is the truth. One last scripture, and we're going to close this thing out. So yes, like I said, it was as mentioned in Django and other movies. So, you know, it's funny how these black-only Israelites are always talking that trash about how the natives owned Negro slaves when the Negroes, the Sephardic Jews and Moors, were the first slavers here. All right, until Esau, the so-called white man, took it completely over. All right. But yeah, this is the book of Luke 8 and 17. And it reads, For nothing secret, Salakia, for nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be made known and come abroad. All right. So you Edomites are gonna have to deal with the fact that a lot of things that you were taking credit for was done by Israelites that you reclassified once you got into power as Negro, Black, Hispanic, you know, and all these Native and all these other names, which are all social constructs created by you to enforce the false social construct of whiteness. Call halal Yahweh by Shem Abishai by Shem Rakakwadash, Wa Abba Abba, Shalom. Kwam Yasharallah.